And finally tonight, a special comment about sacrifice. If in your presence an individual tried to sacrifice an American serviceman or woman, would you intervene? Would you at least protest? What if he had already sacrificed 3,003 of them?
As you can see, the insurgents are at it again. The savages, if you will. They create so many problems for the people of Iraq, the interim government trying to become independent, democratic nation, but the fight must go on. Blood will be shed, men will die. Many have died.
What if he had already sacrificed 3,003 of them and was then to announce his intention to sacrifice hundreds, maybe thousands more? This is where we stand tonight with the BBC report of President Bush's, quote, new Iraq strategy, unquote.
At this point in time, we refuse to use words like optimistic or pessimistic. We are realistic.
Or victory.
Or victory or defeat or anything else. We are into trying to achieve progress.
He has settled on the only solution all the true experts agree cannot possibly work. More American personnel in Iraq, not as trainers for Iraqi troops, but as part of some flabby, ill-defined plan for sacrifice. Sacrifice.
The security has been a result, certainly, of more coalition forces and more Iraqi forces. Let's not forget that there's been an Iraqi surge ongoing that has seen the addition just in 2007 of over 110,000 additional Iraqi police and Iraqi soldiers.
More American families will have to bear the unbearable and rationalize the unforgivable. Sacrifice. Sacrifice now, sacrifice tomorrow, sacrifice forever.
But it's okay, I'm just doing my small part as a soldier. Make sure everybody's safe and protected.
Instead, they bicker and buck pass. They thwart private efforts and jostle to claim credit for initiatives that go nowhere. They spend the money on irrelevant wars and elaborate self-congratulations.
Al-Qaeda is still the element in Iraq that carries out the most horrific attacks, causes the mass casualties, tries to reignite ethno-sectarian violence. It was Al-Qaeda that blew up the Golden Dome Mosque in Samarra that really set off. It was like pouring gas.
Would you say that we
embers.
wouldn't be in the situation we were in today in terms of sectarian violence in Iraq generally had not Al-Qaeda been present and active there?
That's correct.
Does that make Al-Qaeda?
That is correct.
Is this in?
And buying off columnists to write how good a job they're doing instead of doing any job at all.
But you know, the mission is going to be fought well. Will never end. We have to fight. Love country, honor, dignity, and respect.
We are still fighting the terrorists on these streets. And look carefully, sir. On these 16 empty acres, the terrorists are clearly still winning. And in a crime against every victim here and every patriotic sentiment you mouthed but did not enact, you have done nothing about it.
Our leaders and our troopers living among the population that they're securing together with their Iraqi partners, gaining the trust and confidence of the Iraqi people and then ultimately the support of the Iraqi people in those neighborhoods to the point that those people are turning in the bad guys in their midst, are pointing out the weapons caches, are identifying the improvised explosive devices, and ultimately are volunteering to help with security as Neighborhood Watch concerned local citizens and so on.
They promised protection and then showed that to them protection meant going to war against a despot whose hand they had once shaken, a despot who we now learn from our own Senate Intelligence Committee hated Al-Qaeda as much as we did.
بس المعسكرات مالتنا مال انصار الاسلام كنا بحلبجه سابق اي هذا زمن هذا النظام سابق اي حاليا هسه كلها ما تفرقت يعني كان اكو مكه تدريب كان ببلوجه مكه تدريب بلوجه كان طيب بعد من ضرب البلوجه قاموا يطبون من الطريق السوري على الموصل يعني طريق بلوجه وموصل.
The polite phrase for how so many of us were duped into supporting a war on the false premise that it had something to do with 9/11 is lying by implication. The impolite phrase is impeachable offense.
Is this in an ultimate sense turned out to be more than anything else a war with al-Qaeda?
Well, it is al-Qaeda and associated movements, I think, or affiliates, if you will, because again, the insurgents, until they started flipping more and more, certainly throughout the Euphrates River Valley and now other areas, certainly were associated with al-Qaeda, at the very least turning a blind eye to them, at the most, in many cases, aiding and abetting them. And so there's a dramatic transformation in those areas where Sunni Arabs have said no more to al-Qaeda, and that includes some neighborhoods in Baghdad, some very important ones in recent months, where former resistance fighters, as they term themselves, have also turned against al-Qaeda, taken some of their forces, worked with our forces, and now are working with the Iraqi army as well.
And in pimping General David Petraeus, sir.
By far, all the villagers are they come up to us all the time and tell us that they're really appreciative that we're here. They feel much more secure when we're here.
You have already fomented new terrorism and new terrorists. You have already stoked paranoia.
But we're always iterating the point that they need to start trusting IPs more, start going to them more, start trusting their town council, because it's all about Iraqi governing Iraqis.
Your citizens, the people for whom you work, have told you they do not want this. And moreover, they do not want you to do this.
And what is your opinion on the war against terror?
I agree with it. We're doing a good job. We're doing the right thing. We're getting our goals accomplished.
How dare you, Mr. President, after taking cynical advantage of the unanimity and love and transmuting both into fraudulent war and needless death, after monstrously transforming it into fear and suspicion.
I know it's ridiculous, usually it's just, I don't know, we don't really much think about it. It's stupid, that people aren't giving us the support, and instead they're supporting the terrorists by not supporting us, and by not supporting us, that's getting spread across the media, which is in turn egging on and supporting the terrorists people we're fighting against.
And anyone who claims that I and others like me are soft or have forgotten the lessons of what happened here is at best a grasping, opportunistic dilettante, and at worst an idiot.
There's been a stunning reversal out there as tribes have said that whoever opposes al-Qaeda is with us. We want to fight al-Qaeda. Will you help us, coalition forces? And we have indeed done that.
This simplistic logic ignores the inescapable fact that we have indeed already showed weakness to the enemy and to the terrorists. We have shown them that we will let our own people be killed for no good reason.
No. If you're going to support us all the way, support the war. If not, just go on with your lives back home and we'll take care of it here.
Our meaningless sacrifice in Iraq must stop, and you, sir, must stop it.
You can't support, the troops and not support what we're doing here, because people are dying here. You know what I'm saying? You may support, we support the troops, but so you're not supporting what they do, what they say and sweat for, what we bleed for, what we die for. It just don't make sense to me.
If they don't think we're doing a good job, everything that we've done here is all in vain.
We have shown them our stupidity.
By those politicians saying that we can't win the war, that to me is telling that they don't have any faith in us. They have no faith in us soldiers. They don't believe in us, and they cannot put their trust in us.
That was you say that.
First, we sent Americans to their deaths for your lie, Mr. Bush. Now we are sending them to their deaths for your ego.
Look, we are all soldiers. We serve at the leisure of the president. You can hear what all you want. 99.9% of the soldiers who are on ground have taken a vow and an oath to do this. We do it armed, and we're glad to actually do it.
Do you hear the politics? Do you hear the debate?
To the pointlessness of endless war against the wrong people, in the wrong place, at the wrong time.
In order for us to do what it is that is required to do, you got to stop that. I don't want to hear from an intellectual standpoint that we support you guys, but when it comes to the practicality of it, you don't. So either you do or you don't. You follow me?
Meaning what?
The country does not want more troops in Iraq. It wants fewer.
We can't worry about what's being said back there.
You don't think about it at all?
Well,
you
yeah,
hear it?
we can hear it and we can think about it, but we know we have a mission here. And from what our superiors give us, and we pass it on down to our younger soldiers, that's what we have to worry about. We don't have time to be worrying about all of the political stuff going on because we're here. You know, we're here. And we've got to do this year, go to the House.
Please, these people... Oh, go ahead, Megan.